Are these the best pet gecko? This is a neon day gecko.
Today we're going to tell you all about them so you can decide whether or not you would want to get one for yourself.
Hello and welcome back to Tangled Earth Vivariums. We make videos on vivariums, aquariums, and critters like this little guy. And today we're going to be talking about this little guy right here. This is a neon day gecko, also called Phelsuma klemmeri, which I might have messed up, or the yellow-headed day gecko.
We're going to tell you all about these guys. We'll talk about habitat, care, what they eat, breeding, cohabitation, handleability, and everything else that you might need to know when considering whether or not these are the right pets for you. Gosh. Oh my goodness.
Get off the camera.
Neon day geckos are from Madagascar, and in the wild, they like to live in bamboo patches in the forest.
They eat a combination of fruit, nectar, and small insects.
The first thing you might notice about them is their coloration. They got some really beautiful bright blues and bright greens on them.
Mm-hmm.
They have these black stripes as well. It's just really striking to look at. And yeah, a really good pop of color in any vivarium.
They've got this really bright green head that I really, really like. And they've even got smaller details that stand out too. Like they've got these little blue dots kind of on their head, and their eyes can glow like kind of red sometimes, which is maybe a little creepy, but very pretty.
These guys are diurnal, which just means that they are awake in the daytime. So that is a really nice characteristic.
They're gonna be awake when you're awake. So you can see them scurrying around, doing their thing, eating, playing with each other. It's really cool.
Okay, so first we're gonna talk about what kind of enclosure you're going to need to keep these neon day geckos.
These guys are arboreal. They love to climb and jump around. So you're gonna want a tank with some vertical space. The smallest enclosure that you can keep one in is a 12 by 12 by 18. If you want to keep a pair or a colony, then you're going to need to go bigger.
Okay, here is a 36 by 18 by 36 that we made for a client. His neon day geckos are breeding in there super happily, and that's actually where we got our babies. We're keeping these 3 babies in a 12 by 12 by 18, but they're definitely gonna need an upgrade soon.
Your tank is gonna need lots of horizontal branches and places for them to climb, jump between, and to bask on. If you want to keep multiple geckos together, then you're also going to need places for them to retreat if they want some alone time or if they need to avoid aggression from another gecko. They live on bamboo in the wild, so adding pieces of dried bamboo can be a really fun bit of hardscape to your enclosure. After seeing how much the adult day geckos loved the bamboo in our client tank, we made sure to incorporate some into our home setup, but ours really seemed to just prefer the cork, logs, ghost wood, and like the inside lip of the lid of the enclosure to the actual bamboo, so.
Yeah, so maybe it's just personal preference. And when we were looking at where to buy bamboo, it was really hard to find bamboo that had a wide enough inner diameter
for them to go inside.
Right. So we couldn't really find any good bamboo online, but then I guess where you get it is just your local garden store. I've actually also seen it at Safeway in the floral section, and they're kind of like bamboo stakes that people use in their gardens for vining plants. But yeah, just wash it off and cut it up and you can use it in your vivariums.
As far as the rest of the enclosure goes, these guys like it pretty humid, around 60 to 80%. We spray our enclosure down twice a day, and then we have a substrate mix with lots of sphagnum moss that retains that moisture really well. The general tank temperature should be around 80 to 82, 85 degrees, but they're gonna need a basking spot that gets much warmer, like up to 90 to 95 degrees. Yeah.
Just make sure that you can have a tank that provides that kind of gradient for them. And since your geckos are in a tank and not outside under the sun, they're also gonna need UVB. So they live in a kind of shady forest area in the wild, so they don't need that much UVB, but they still need some.
So we use the Haiger Zoo LED UVB sun lamp set to 2.0, which is just a little bit of UVB, should be enough for the geckos. We actually measured the UVB at a couple different points in our tank with a UVB meter, and it actually emits more than 2.0, like it gets up to 7 or 8 in some areas of the tank, but you just want to make sure you have a gradient so that they can give themselves what they need. But yeah, so far that light has been working super well for us. It's going to be linked down in the description.
So speaking of measurements, to double check your parameters, we also use a laser thermometer thermometer to make sure the heat is good throughout the tank, the temperature.
Yeah, we mostly checked the basking spot underneath that heat lamp to make sure it's getting in that 90 to 95 range. And then just generally the further things get from that basking spot, the less warm they'll be. So you know you're gonna have kind of a decreasing gradient. For all these things like temperature, humidity, and UVB, you need those gradients so that they can self-regulate. The animals are smart, they know how to take care of themselves, and the bigger your enclosure is, the easier it is. So something like this, a 12 by 12 by 18, it can actually be a little bit tricky to make sure that we hit all our different parameters in there.
So next up, we're gonna talk about food. What do these guys eat? So we mentioned earlier in the video, but yeah, they eat fruit and little insects. So at home, what we do is use this fruit paste mix. It's a powder, you mix it with water, stir it up, and it kind of gets to like an applesauce consistency. And it's made up of dried fruit as well as some like bug protein in there as well. So we just mix that up for them. And right now, actually, we're trying to train them to be a little bit handleable, something we'll talk about a little bit after. So sometimes we do like to feed them from our hand. But we also just smear it on some of the sticks and then in a couple of different areas so that they can have some space away from each other to eat at their own spot. When we're on vacation, we also just put a little bit in like a bottle cap and then place a couple throughout the tank so that they have a continuous source. But we like to do it every day just to make sure they have a fresh source of food every day. And it's a fun way to interact with them.
Yeah, they also need calcium, which is included in the Pangea gecko diet. We feed live bugs sometimes as a supplement. It's good enrichment for them to like chase something around, even though the Pangea technically has like all the proteins and has calcium for them. But so we feed fruit flies, and when we do that, we dust them with a little bit of calcium powder. Same thing we use for our dart frogs. But technically, the Pangea gecko diet should have everything they need. We do gecko diet, like Jane said, either daily or every few days, but the flies I only do around once a week.
Guys, if you're enjoying this video, make sure you hit that like button. It really helps us out. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and let's get back to the video.
Okay, next up, let's talk breeding and the colony system that these guys live in. So if you want to keep multiple day geckos together, there's a few things that you just kind of need to know. In the wild, they live in these colonies, which are like familial groups that consist of one dominant male and then a group of females. And the males can be very aggressive with one another, and that dominant male can bully other males that are in their space. Most people recommend at most one male per tank. You could do a colony of all females with no males. You could do a one male, one female pair, or you could do a large colony with one male and a bunch of females. But like always, if your tank is big enough, the male-female ratio matters less. Like obviously, if you have a huge tank, then you could have distinct colonies formed within that tank with different males and their associated females, but you need to make sure that each of those colonies has a place they can go. So you might need multiple basking spots.
Whatever you end up doing, just make sure you keep a close eye on it and watch out for any aggression, because they are kind of hard to tell apart to sex them. You're gonna need to look underneath their belly, kind of in between the legs. So it's easiest when they're like up against the glass, climbing on there. That's a good time to kind of check.
It's a whole thing. The easiest way is just gonna be to Google some reference images of males and females and put them up side by side and then take a photo of your gecko and like compare it to the two.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. I didn't think to take a photo. I was just gonna like wait for an opportunity.
I took a picture of ours.
Okay.
It didn't help me. It's not easy, guys.
Okay. And then also, when can you start telling?
Yeah, about 4 months. So they reach sexual maturity at about 4 months. Mm-hmm. Once they're full-on adults, it's a lot easier to tell. The males are larger and the females have these sacs behind their head where they store calcium that they use to produce eggs. But if you have a colony with one male and several females, or a pair, they're gonna start laying eggs pretty soon, and they can lay 1 to 2 eggs every 3 to 5 weeks. So if they're happy and they're breeding, they are going to be producing a lot of eggs. So you make sure they're getting that calcium so they can lay the eggs, and those eggs are gonna incubate for 40 to 60 days before they hatch. There's not much you need to do. They're pretty good about laying those eggs somewhere where they're gonna get everything they need to hatch. You don't need to go around, find them, take them out, put them in an incubator. Just don't worry about it, and babies will appear in your tank. The babies are very small, so I wanna make sure your tank is escape proof. The new Exo Terra Pros are really good for not letting the geckos out. The old Exo Terras, considerably less good for nano geckos. We put ours when they were like less than a week old, I guess, in the Pro, and they're never got out.
Yeah. So as dart frog keepers ourselves, we get a lot of questions about cohabitation. Cohabitation is when you are letting two different types of species live together, have the same habitat, right?
Controversial topic.
Yes, very. Although cohabitation is not for everyone and not for every species or any species, neon day geckos and dart frogs can be a pretty good pairing depending on how you set up your enclosure. This colony here lives peacefully with Dendrobates auratus highland bronze. We have a whole video on cohabitation if you're interested in checking that out. We talk you through how to design the enclosure, how to figure out which species would be good with another species and everything like that. So we'll link it down below and maybe pop it up here as well, so check it out.
But the TLDR of that video is that you have to design your enclosure very carefully so that the needs of both types of animals are met and that there's no competition over space or resources. And this is much, much easier with a large, understocked enclosure that's gonna have massive gradients of temperature, humidity, and all your other parameters because, you know, something like dart frogs, they need something a lot more humid versus day geckos, only 60 to 80% humidity, right? So having those big gradients so every animal has their own territory and a big tank is really gonna help. But yeah, check out that video if you want to really get into it because we talk about it a lot. While we're being controversial and talking about cohabitation, let's talk about handleability also.
So a lot of people will tell you because these geckos are so small that they are not handleable. But in our experience, it's actually quite the opposite. As you saw at the beginning of the video, we are pretty comfortable handling these neon day geckos even when they are babies.
Yeah, they're super chill, especially compared to other nano geckos that we've kept. Like maybe if you compare them to a crested gecko, like yeah, they're not as easy to handle, but oh my gosh, if you compare them to the mourning geckos, the neon day geckos will just sit on your finger, cool as a cucumber for a long time. Like you saw ours move around a little bit at the beginning. He was probably on there for like 20 minutes before he started getting antsy. They'll sit there and chill. And when they do eventually decide to move, it's a pretty calm and reasonable pace. If they get really antsy, they might jump. I mean, they're arboreal, so yeah, they might jump. But you can usually tell when they're getting ready to do that. And if they're, you know, walking up your arm or whatever, you can just put your hand in front of them to stop them, or you can pick them up again.
If you are gonna pick them up, don't reach down at them like a claw, right? They might think you're a predator, they might get scared, they may associate your hand with something scary or bad. You can just place your finger, your hand in front of them, and then gently coax them into your hand, like this, right? You can also put some gecko diet on your hand and they'll and slowly teach them that, you know, your hand is food and they might want to be curious and walk on all on their own. So if you want them to be relaxed around people, you can feed them by hand regularly or do regular maintenance just so that they get used to hand.
Yeah, we've been hand feeding ours daily since they hatched and they're pretty used to us now. They'll come to us if there's food on our hands, but they haven't really reached the point where they'll just like run to us and jump on our hands if there's no food. Like there's still some, I don't know, coaxing involved. But since they are small, be gentle when handling them, okay? They're very delicate, they're very fragile, which is why most people would say that they're not great for handling because they can, if they want to, move quickly or jump, and you need to be calm and not freak out if they move quickly. So if you freak out and you spaz and you throw them, that's obviously gonna be bad. Or if you try to pick them up and you crush them, that's gonna be bad. So they're delicate, be gentle with them. But if you are gentle with them, then yes, you can definitely handle them. But they might not be the best pet for small children or I don't know, people to handle if they don't have a lot of control with it or if they're not very comfortable having a little critter that might move suddenly on their hands. But if you're calm, they will definitely hang out with you.
So while these neon day geckos are a beautiful addition to any tank and a beautiful addition to the reptile hobby overall, they are actually endangered in the wild. This is partially due to the deforestation that is happening in their natural environment. Their natural habitat is already a very specific place and it's being cut down. And it's also due to overcollection in the pet trade in the past. So if you are interested in getting neon day geckos, make sure you're getting it from a reputable breeder, someone you know and can trust, and that it's not being poached or, you know, unethical practices are happening. So
never buy wild caught.
Yeah. yeah, all in all, I think these are my favorite species of geckos that we've kept so far.
Wow.
Favorite reptile that we've kept so far. The other ones are mourning geckos, which are actually pretty comparable, like similar size, very similar care requirements. But I don't know, the day geckos to me are just better. They're more colorful, easier to handle, because the mourning geckos will just like go crazy. They reproduce.
That's true. You have to find
like
homes for the
rapidly.
babies.
The mourning geckos reproduce rapidly, but the day geckos are a lot more chill, and I like that. They are awake in the daytime, so I see them a lot more, and they're brighter, so it's much easier to see them as well, because the mourning geckos can really blend into your natural habitat. Hopefully you have a natural looking habitat, but yeah. I like them a lot.
I would say really the only downside is that you have to worry about sexing these guys to keep them in groups and ensure that good male to female ratio. And then I guess the cost, right? They can cost like $100 to $150 for one. So they're not cheap. It might sound super expensive, but when you think about the fact that they can live 6 to 8 years in the wild and potentially up to 10 years in captivity, you know, that's a real commitment, and like $150 for a pet that you're gonna have for up to 10 years and it might have babies. It's reasonably priced. These little guys are so fun to watch, scurry around, bask and hunt. They are a small and beautiful gecko with a really big personality, and we think they are super underrated.
Let us know what you guys think. Do you think that neon day geckos would be right for you? And have you ever kept them before? Is there anything that we missed in this video? Any tips and tricks that you would want to share down in the comments?
Thank you guys for watching this video all the way through. And if you made it this far, let us know by dropping a gecko emoji down in the comments. Thank you so much.
So as we mentioned up top, we build custom vivariums, bioactive vivariums for various different animals and pets. So if you would like to commission a tank and you are in the San Francisco Bay Area, feel free to drop us, feel free to send us an email. Our email is tangledearthvivariums@gmail.com.
Follow us on Instagram, also at tangledearthvivariums. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to see more like it, click hype the video up, and thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. We are going to see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.